This Gino Ojic movement to put Gino Ojic in the Ring of Honor, the Canucks Ring of Honor. If you're not watching, if you're just listening right now, basically I'm showing it on the screen. I'm showing the article from Daily Hive. Shout out to friend of the show and friend of the show, Rob, the hockey guy, Rob Williams, writing about how BC Premier John Horgan wants to put Gino Ojic in the Ring of Honor, and there's a whole grassroots movement going on right now to make put Gino in the Ring of Honor, and a lot of people, and that kind of spurred its own debate. That spurred its own debate for Canucks fans, which was the fact of, okay, well, if you're going to put Gino Ojic in the Ring of Honor, it's time to put Luongo, it's time to retire Luongo's jersey. And I swear to God, every time this comes up, I gotta say it, the dumbest people come out of the woodwork and are like, oh, Luongo shouldn't get his jersey retired, he's not important, blah, 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 he didn't do anything, his playoff failures are too much to get him, he does not deserve jersey retirement. And with that, I'd like to go into a brand new segment on the CreaseCast where I call which I'm just going to call right now, Lachlan's Rant, where I rant about something and get very, very mad for about, I don't know, as long as needed. On the last episode, it was me getting mad about the Canucks reverse retros. This time I'm getting mad about jersey retirement. I'm a positive guy, I like to think. I'm a very positive person. I'm just going to flat out put it for you. I'm going to make it very nice and simple here. If you don't think Roberto Luongo deserves to have his jersey retired by the Vancouver Canucks, you do not get hockey. You don't understand hockey at all. Because, frankly, you're diminishing one of the greatest goaltenders of all time's contributions to a great team. And the fact of the matter is, he is arguably the biggest reason that they got to where they did. And that is a very hot take. I'll admit that part is a hot take. But I'm very much of the belief, and admittedly a little biased, Roberto Luongo for me in my mind, is the greatest player the Canucks have ever had. In my mind. I know that's not actually true. I know there have been better, and I know there are guys who are coming. Like the Sedins, obviously, I would put in with my actual brain. Yes, the Sedins are 1 and 2 and the top of the greatest Canucks of all time list. And Luongo is third. You can't. It's true. Sorry, it's true. He's the third greatest Canuck of all time. In my heart, he's number 1 because I was a goaltender. I grew up a goalie and I idolized him growing up. He was the guy who I wanted to be. And I imitated when I played in net. I made saves just like Lou. I always wanted to be just like him. That's the way I grew up. A lot of people, when I was growing up, harped on him, didn't get it. They didn't understand what Luongo brought to the team because all they saw were the tough playoff exits. It has nothing to do with that. What Luongo was able to do in his time I forgot that I have the hotkeys on, and apparently I can't do that. I can't do some of the stuff that normally. Basically, people are like, oh, like they immediately the immediate factor for people is, look at what happened to him in 2011 in the Cup final. He completely imploded. Yes, let's talk about the fact that the goaltender. Let's blame the goaltender in the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals. Let's blame the goalie who got 2 shutouts, might I remind you. 2 shutouts. Not only were they just regular shutouts, they were 1-0 shutouts where he had to be perfect for the entire game, or otherwise they did not win. Instead of, say, I don't know, the skaters that only scored 8 goals in 7 games, an NHL record for futility in a 7-game cup final, scoring futility in a cup final, in a 7-game series. Yes, you totally know where the blame should be going. It's definitely on the goalie because he didn't score enough. How dare he not? Yeah, that 4-0 loss in Game 7. It's his fault the Canucks didn't score a single damn goal. Yes, that's on him. Yes, I get the fact that he had a shaky starts in Boston. I totally get that. And I understand why that's tough to swallow for some people. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, and yes, his save percentage looks poor because of it. The fact of the matter is, the Canucks don't even sniff that cup final without him. They don't even come close to it without Luongo and without the foundation he gave that team. One of my hottest personal takes is that, and I think if you really look into it, I think there's some merit to this, which is, and I think it's something that not a lot of Canucks fans might like to hear, or want to hear, or realize even. But Roberto Luongo made the best players of that 2011 final. He made them possible. I personally do not think that that the Sedins get to the level that they do in their careers without Roberto Luongo. That's a bit of that's probably kind of fiery. You're probably ready to bring pitchforks to my brand new apartment, in which I will say, no, please, I just put a security deposit down on it. But hear me out here. You have to think about the fact that for the first long part of the Sedin's career, they never really were able to do the things they could. Not because they couldn't. They always had that skill. They were always going to be great players. But because of the fact that the Canucks never had stable, strong goaltending, consistent goaltending for the first good part of the Sedin's careers, I don't think the Sedins ever got the opportunity to truly flourish and got the leash that they did from their coaches without Roberto Luongo being there, because suddenly there was no longer the concern of, oh, hey, if we let them go out and try and cycle the puck to the end of the world, and they make an error, and ends up going, and they maybe make an error, it goes back the other way. We can't trust the goaltender at the other end to stop that shot, to necessarily stop that and save that shot. So we need to kind of hold them back, rein them in a little bit. When Luongo got there, that changed, because now all of a sudden the Canucks had consistent, strong goaltending every single night. If the Sedins were cycling the puck, pulling off classic Sedinery, they never had to worry, oh, if I make a little bit of an error here, if something goes wrong, that puck's going in the net the other side. They never had to worry about that once Roberto Luongo came on the scene. They knew 99 times out of 100 he's stopping that puck. That was the way Lou was. That was what Lou made possible. I think the Sedins are great players, become great players even without Luongo. But I don't think they get to Hart Trophy, Lester B. Pearson / Ted Lindsay Award, back-to-back Hart Ross Trophy winning Henrik and Daniel without Roberto Luongo, because they would have never been able, because the coaches would have never had the trust in their netminders to keep any mistakes or errors out. He freed up the Canucks forwards and players to be more aggressive and make defensemen. He freed up the opportunity for defensemen to go ahead and try and make that extra pinch and try and beat that guy to the puck. They freed up the forwards to get a little bit more creative and do more things in the attacking zone, or even in the neutral zone as they're trying to enter. Because they never had to worry that, oh, if something goes wrong here, we don't have to worry. We're not worried that puck's going in. We're not worried that we're going to end up with a goal coming back. Because Luongo was the most stable, the best goaltending this team and this franchise have ever had. They've never had a goaltender like him. Not even close. Luongo deserves to have his jersey retired by this team. He played here for, 8 goddamn seasons. He was amazing in all of them. Even in the years where he struggled, he was still great. He still gave the Canucks better goaltending than most of the NHL. I don't know how you can look at the fact that this guy is third all time in NHL wins. You'd think I would know this because I am Luongo's biggest fan and I'm the biggest proponent of him getting into the Hall of Fame. He had 489 wins. Come on. I don't know, and most of which came with, hey, guess what? The Canucks, because that's the team he came to. That's the peak of his career came with the Canucks. I don't know how you can look at the fact that he is the leader in every single important goaltending category the Canucks in franchise history for the Canucks and say this guy doesn't deserve to have his jersey retired. It does. He does. He absolutely does. And if you don't agree with me, it's because you're looking at it from a short-sighted vision. You're looking at only a couple games. And even if you're going to say, oh, his playoff experience is the problem here, it's like, I'm sorry, he won a bunch of playoff series before that. You're just going to boil it down to one? That's the marker we're setting it at now. We're setting 7 games determines his career, or the cap recapture BS. Some people were like, "Oh, that matters." No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. You expect him to? It's the onus is on him to do the Canucks a solid and not retire because he wants to work in the front office. Just because the Canucks would hurt the Canucks cap hit. I'm sorry. The franchise that treated him so poorly and just booted him out the door by not playing him in a Heritage Classic. You think he owes them a solid? No. Screw you. This team treated Luongo, and sometimes this fan base treated Roberto like absolute shit, and he didn't deserve it. Same thing kind of happened with Pavel Bure, and look what ended up happening. They ended up letting bygones be bygones and retiring the number 10. Luongo's next. He damn well better be. Nobody deserves to have their jersey retired in more than Roberto Luongo. He does. He does. And frankly, if you don't believe me, if you don't agree with me, I don't know what else to tell you other than maybe hockey's not your thing. Maybe you don't understand how important goaltending is, that's pretty much it. Maybe you just don't get goaltending. I'm sorry. Just to leave you with one last thing, if you go to hockeyreference.com, they have a little thing on their they have a little part of their stats page for players called a similarity score, where essentially they show you kind of the overall they match up the points they match it through like advanced stats. They match up goaltenders to their closest counterparts from history through like a bunch of like adjusted for era sort of stuff and points and what have you. Adjusted point shares from point shares. So basically it's here are the comparables for a guy's career. Who are the goaltenders that we have to compare, that we should be comparing this goaltender to and his career to and what he was able to accomplish. Here are the 10 names on Luongo's list. I'm going to leave you with that. Those names are Terry Sawchuk, Martin Brodeur, Tony Esposito, Jacques Plante, Patrick Waugh, Glenn Hull, Henrik Lundqvist, Harry Lumley, Dominic Hasek, and Curtis Joseph. Arguably the collection of the greatest goaltenders of all time. Arguably right there in the same career path as Roberto Luongo. And his peak years came with the Canucks. He is one of the greatest players this team and this team and the city has ever seen. What else is there to say?